Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Give Your Website Rockstar Status webinar. My name is Kimber, and I'm the Marketing Training Specialist here at Vertical Response. And we're so happy to have Brant Schmitz, who is the Director of Email and Marketing Automation at Deluxe Corporation, present this webinar today. He has lots of great information. I've already looked at the slides, and I'm so interested because I have not seen this webinar yet either. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say about giving websites rockstar status. But before we actually get into the webinar, just want to give you a little bit of background. I know that lots of you out there are probably familiar with Deluxe. Some of you are probably familiar with Vertical Response, but I want to give you a better picture of how we all fit together before we move along, because now things are starting to look a little bit different. We have a few different landing pages, so just want to kind of set the scene for you. So just to give a bit of backstory, Vertical Response was acquired by Deluxe in July of 2013, so almost 3 years ago now. And once we were acquired by them, we joined their small business focused portfolio. So, Deluxe is mainly known, they've been known for the past 100 years for their financial services, but now they also operate in the digital space. So we were happy to join that portfolio of small business focused businesses. And so both Brant and I are on the marketing teams, respectively, in San Francisco and Shoreview, Minnesota, where we work as part of the small business services team, offering different marketing campaigns for you guys and trying to come up with the best, ways to get those services out there. And so we decided from January 2016, so now, and moving forward this year, to bring the webinars together as one so that we can offer lots of different topics to both the audiences, because we have been doing them separately. But now, we brought them together, so we're going to have different topics focused on websites. For example, today, logos, branding, social media, nonprofits. There's going to be some out there for you guys as well. So we're just so excited to kind of bring it all together. So I just wanted to set the scene a bit in case you were a little bit confused of what was going on, or if you gotten different messaging. We want to let you know more about that. So with that being said, now I'm going to turn the control over to Brant so that he can get started. So Brant, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Kimber. Appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for taking the time to sit down with us for a little bit and learn a little bit more about how to make 2016 the year that your website rocks. So a couple different things we're going to cover today, and we'll definitely try to leave some time at the end for questions. So if you have any, you can just put them into the chat window, and Kimber will kind of keep an eye on those, and then at the end she'll ask some questions. So try not to take the full hour, give you guys a little bit of time back on your lunch break if that's what this may be. So a couple things we are going to cover today. So I always like to give kind of a broad perspective, and full disclosure, Lux does websites. We do building websites. We have tools to allow people to build their websites themselves. We offer all this, but I take it from a different perspective. I take it from the perspective of, if we can help people solve their problems, right, big, small, otherwise, websites or logos or anything else, and not even solve their problems, maybe just answer some questions they may have, then that's going to overall help our relationship that we have with them. So some of you on the call may already be a Deluxe partner in the financial, right? Maybe you get Deluxe checks or different forms or different things with us. Today we're going to be talking about websites, and the conversation today will be relevant if you already have a website and it's been up for years, if you just built a brand new website, if you're thinking about building a brand or thinking about building a website. All these are going to be relevant to help you just figure out, how do we get the most out of that. Websites are definitely something now where consumers are going directly to there to try to find information and find out about your business. So I would say it's one of the top things that a new business needs to do, or an existing business needs to do, if they want to continue to grow and maintain. So what are we going to talk about today? So one, do you even need a website? Let's just lay down the facts. Two, laying the foundation for your website. How do you get there? How do you make sure you're kind of the low-hanging fruit, right? Fundamentals of a website that rocks. So we're going to go through, I think there's 10 or 12 steps. Like, if nothing else, here's the actionable items that you can do today, taking a look at your website or have your web person take a look at today, to make sure that you're doing everything you can. Right now is the perfect time to kick off and start making sure that you have everything laid out for 2016. We're going to give you some actionable steps that you can use to actually get there. And then we'll talk about DIY or website, or a DIFM do it for me? Should someone be building your website? So if you're in the process of either building a new website or deciding if you need a new website, I'm just going to give you some, pros and cons of both of what you may want to do or keep an eye out for as you're getting this going. And then kind of a little bonus section is how do we get traffic to our website? We're spending all this time making sure that we have the perfect website and converting. How do we actually get people to that website? So those are a couple things we're going to be talking about. So first, do I really need a website? Quick answer is yes. That's the first place everyone is going when they're trying to find your business, right? So 80% of users, when they want to make a purchase, go to your website. 81% of users research online before purchasing. And then the simple matter is if they find your competitor instead of you, that's where they're going to end up going. So it doesn't matter if you are a local restaurant and you think you're the only, breakfast joint in town, or if you're a plumber and you know you have 100 competitors in your city you're trying to compete with. Everyone needs a website because that's your footprint. Everything's going online, and that's where people are looking. So I think you all understand that point because you're all on this webinar today. So looking for information to make a purchase decision, almost 90% go directly to a company's website. That's the first thing. That was back in 2012, so those numbers are even higher now. Also consider this. So 20% of local searches return the wrong information. So an example there is, someone's friend tells them about this great restaurant. They go on their phone, they look it up, they put in Google Maps, they drive there, lo and behold, the wrong information, right? The wrong location, or they try to call the phones wrong. So you have to make sure that even if you have a website, that people can reach out to you and find you or contact you. We'll talk about that today too. Are you one of those type of businesses that maybe your overall listing and how your business is listed online changes? So if you change your hours, you change location, you offer new products, things to keep in mind that you want to make sure that you're not forgetting about that stuff. And then 50% of local searches are now mobile, even a little bit higher than that now. So half the traffic that you're going to be getting is going to be going to a mobile website, or if you don't have a mobile website, it's going to be going to just your regular desktop version, which may not look very good on someone's mobile device. So keeping that in mind as well. All right, so how do we lay a foundation for a website that rocks? Right, I'm going to use a house analogy for a lot of this. And, the first thing you have to do if anyone's built a house is you have to have a sturdy foundation. So depending on what you're building, that may be a cement slab, that may be built here down by the coast. You need to have that solid foundation so you can build the rest up around it. And that's what we're going to start with. Whether you want to call it a foundation, low-hanging fruit, building blocks, any of that stuff, where do you need to go? And again, this is if you're looking to build a website from scratch, or if you want to tweak or change your website in 2016. So high level, here's 6 or 7 things you need to kind of think about. So before you even decide what your website's going to look like, or the colors, or any of the stuff we're going to talk about here in a minute, just sit back and think, what am I trying to do? What are my objectives? Am I trying to get people to call me? Do I want them to, find me on a map and drive here? Do I want them to, find an offer or a coupon on my website? Everyone needs a website, but why do you need a website? Think through that. And then who's your target audience? Is it people sitting at home? Is it people driving? Is it people, sitting at work? Is it people shopping online? Think about who you're going to drive to your website. And it may be different than people that come into your brick and mortar, if you have a brick and mortar location. So think about that as well. And then what is your content plan? So everything from content within your website, but then content that you're going to share with consumers as well. So that may be, you're selling, I don't know, I'll use the restaurant version, right? So your content plan may include trying to get in the local business with an article about your restaurant, or it could be, the menu that you have on your website, or it could be, you host, a number of different events and you want to put out a guide of how to engage with your business. So all that kind of falls into content. So how are you going to communicate with people both online and offline? Simple fact of what it should look like and how should it function. Do you need to accept orders online? Do you need to have a map on your things? What are the basic things that you think your website should have? And then bells and whistles. What are the extra things that you want? What are the things that go above and beyond just a standard website that you think would be a good idea for you? one of the things I see a lot is people set up a website and then just kind of sit back and wait for people to call or to walk into the store. But you need to have some sort of analytics set up to say, okay, here's my traffic we're getting, here's how people are converting on my site or not converting. How are you going to determine success? And what does that mean to you? So it's increasing sales, or is it, just more traffic to your site? Is it, increasing your average order size? So, and then lastly, what should your budget be? And that one I have no guidelines. I mean, websites are as cheap as free to thousands of dollars to tens, thousands, millions of dollars, right? I'd assume that most of you are probably in the free to, a couple $100 a month or a couple $1,000 all in website package area. And there's certainly everything available in that range. It kind of depends on what you want and what you want to try to do with it. All right, so let's go into a little bit more details. And again, these are 12 fundamentals for actionable items that you can use today. So I believe Kimber will be making this available after this, and we can send you out this PowerPoint.
Yes,
So
that's correct. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So walk through the 12 things. No need to take too extensive notes. You guys will all get the PowerPoint as well. So. All right, number one, know your target audience. We just talked about this. Who are you trying to reach out to, and what do they need to do? If you're an auto body shop, you need to put your map or images of cars. Know who's going to be going to your website and why. Excuse me. So the more tailored the content, the better, right? So if you completely understand who you're trying to reach, if you're a plumber, then maybe your website is talking about emergency situations. Maybe across the front it says, need a, have a plumbing emergency, call us at this number, right? Versus if you're a restaurant, maybe it's just a nice picture of a, steak or something like that. Know your audience, know who's going to be coming there, and tailor that content website around. So multiple points of contact. So some people may want to call you, they may want to drive in person, they may want to go to your Facebook page, they may want to see if you have testimonials. So give them those options and make it easy to find. So you can see there's a contact us page, they can call, they can walk into the office, there's the map, they can find them on Facebook and Instagram, they can email them. Give them the option to communicate with you the way that you want to. And again, a lot of these are kind of, well, yeah, that makes complete sense, but use this as a checkpoint, and even if you say, well, yeah, I give them all kinds of options, go back to your website and see how you're launching. Do you just have a contact us form where they have to fill something out and send it to you, which maybe they don't need that much information, maybe they just want to know if you're going to be open on, New Year's Eve, right? So look and see how you're providing that contact us information. All right, so consistent visual branding. So your website is your online brand. So if you are a business that has a logo or you have certain types of look and feel, just know that your website is going to speak volumes about your business to people. So if it doesn't look professional, if the images are stretched or blurry, if you don't even have a logo, right, or you have some awful colors, that all plays into what people think your business is all about. You could be, a high-end lawyer that charges $1,000 an hour, and you have an awful-looking website that looks like your nephew built it for you in your spare time, and people may not think that you're that great of a lawyer just based on the way your website feels. So keep that in mind. I mean, this is a great time to take a look at your overall branding anyway. Figure out if you need a updated or new logo. What is your color palette? All those good things. All right, make pages easy to scan. So an interesting thing is that people actually scan websites in an F pattern. They scan down the left-hand side and then across the top and across the middle. Kind of like that one in the middle is a great representation of it. So build your content out that way. So, a lot of people have the nav in the top part of the website, and that's kind of a good general plan, but that doesn't mean you can't have nav down the left-hand side. I mean, look how these people are viewing these websites. I guess I should explain, if you don't know, that these are heat maps, right? So the darker areas are where people spend more time, and it's based on where your mouse and cursor. People tend to follow along with their mouse and cursor. So you can kind of see where people spend the most amount of time, and it's in a F pattern. All right, make those pages navigate. You want to be able to get them to exactly where you're trying to get them to as quickly as possible. So if you're a shoe company and you know people, women shop over men, then put shop women's shoes up top, right? If you have certain brands, let them search by alphabetical order. So know your customer, right? Point number one there. Number one, know your target audience. Know them well enough to know how they're going to be searching on your website and what sort of information they want, and then make it easier for them to get that information. Keep important information above the fold. This kind of goes back to the old newspaper days, right? The top headline would be above the fold of the newspaper, and that's the big, screaming headline that they wanted for the day. Your website is similar. I mean, people are more used to scrolling now than they used to be, but you're still going to want to keep a lot of your most important information right up top. So this particular example, they want people to give them a call, so they have their phone number big and bright. They want before and after pictures. They want them to be able to contact them for free estimates. It's all above the fold and first thing they see when they hit the website. So if you are a business and a huge image takes up the majority of your page, well, you might have to reconsider, do we want to do something different with those images so we can get some more of the content and contact information when people first hit your site. All right, clear calls to action. This is a big one. So again, I mean, the phone number is huge there, but that's how they, get their business by getting people to call them. So it goes back to knowing what you want people to do and then put it out in front of them so that they know exactly how to do that. So ensure your site loads quickly. There's nothing worse as a consumer than going to a website and seeing images that don't load right away, or clicking from site to site, or then page to page. It's incredibly slow. Again, it reflects on your business. Even things like using JPEG images instead of a PNG type, or more web-based images, or a TIFF instead of a PNG. And some of this is based on who your internet provider, or who your provider is, right? Your IP provider. So make sure that when you're partnering with someone to host your website, that they have, fast connections and speeds as well. And as you're building out those sites, make sure you're not making it too cumbersome with the wrong type of images. All right, so develop that content, let it build your credibility and trust. So here's that Grout example again. They have a great before and after. They talk about their membership. They have a testimonial section. So if it's relevant to your business, then put it in there. People still love hearing from their friends and family of what they think of a business, but kind of the second backup is, what are other people saying, right? They're going to go to Yelp and see what your ranking is. They're going to want to go to your website and see what your testimonials are, what people are saying about you. So if you have some good ones, put them out there, because people are going to be finding or looking for them anyway. And you'd rather have these ones here where you can kind of control what people are saying for you. All right, social media sharing, still a big component, and make it more prominent, especially if you're a online retailer, right? Maybe you want to make your Facebook page a prominent part of it, or maybe you're a restaurant, right? That'd be a perfect example of having the Facebook icon larger so people can click over there, see what other people are saying about your restaurant, maybe see what your specials are for the day. So include that social media sharing component of it, because it's a big part of it. And if you don't have a Facebook page for your business, get one out there. That's kind of secondary to make sure your website's rocking and rolling, but getting a Facebook page that's going to work for your business is becoming just as important. All right, so this is more back-end stuff, and this, a lot of you may not have the knowledge and expertise, but it's making sure that your meta description, your title tags, everything on the back end, what search engines actually read, is up to date and is set up the way that they want to. This may be something if you're doing having someone build your website for you, or you have a webmaster, they'll need to go in and double check all this. But there's lots of things that the search engines do and update and change to make sure that you're relevant. And they make changes all the time, and you have to go in and update those changes in your information. So title tag is just the descriptive, kind of keywords that kind of help with search. And then a lot of this back-end stuff like the meta description, meta keywords, that's all the back-end source data. So while your website may have an image of a cupcake, well, the search engines can't read an images where need be and where they can kind of reflect your product or offering better, but also still have that content out there so people can read about it and so that the search engines are also able to your site. All right, so those are the 12 actionable things. And again, these are things you can go back and look at right now. Just even verify or kind of do the New Year's resolution check mark, if you will, and just say, yep, we're doing this, we could be doing this, we're not doing this at all, and this I need to change tomorrow. But these first 12 things, those are something you can do today to make your website better for the rest of the year. So once it gets down to having your website, you build it, you have someone else build it, what should you be doing? And really it's going to depend on a couple things. So your internal skill set, the resources available to you, how much time do you have to do maintenance or how exhaustive your website needs to be, and then again, what's your overall budget? So again, we'll walk through a couple of these things and help you make those decisions where you're adding or updating the website. So building a website for you, so a DIY, do-it-yourself version. So there's lots of players out in the space, including Wix and Squarespace, Weebly, and then, of course, Deluxe. All right, so let's say you say, do it myself, I'm all in, I'm going to do this, I'm going to build this grand website, or in this example here I'm using this grand, beautiful home. So the nice thing about these DIY products is that they require minimal technical skill, right? A lot of it's drag and drop, or they have WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get kind of platforms to allow you to kind of build these things out. The templates make it easy to do. I'm a restaurant, so I'm going to use the restaurant template, and I like red and black as the main colors. Throw it in there, throw my logo in. Allows you to build it very quickly with that information. And you can do it on your time with your budget. You really can spend as little or as much as you want to and take as little or as long of time as you want to get it done. So for those of you with some skill set and the ability to take your time and do it right, that would be a great option. But what's one of the cons, right? When you get to the help mode, when building that website out is just a little bit more than what you bargained for. So one thing with DIY, most of the times it is templatized, so you have less flexibility in the overall design. So if you're not a standard business, or if you don't like the templates they have for restaurants, you're kind of out of luck. Sometimes you can get unprofessional results because you're the one that's the designer. So if you don't have the skill set to design a website, even with these easy drag and drop tools, well, then they may not end up looking the way you want it to look. Also, how do you maintain these websites? How do you bring in third-party apps? That can kind of overcomplicate it sometimes. And then again, it can quickly get out of hand, get out of time, get out of budget, depending on your skill set. So it wouldn't be a proper webinar if I didn't give myself a plug here, but Deluxe does offer a DIY website option. It's actually free for a limited time in conjunction with our 100-year anniversary of Deluxe. And it's a tool that does some things I just talked about. Let you go in and choose templates and build out emails, include emails, social media components to your website, and just allows you to go in and quickly build an effective, beautiful website that anyone of any skill set can go in and utilize and build. So that's one component. That's the DIY, deciding if you want to go in and try yourself. And if you do, go to MKTG Suite at deluxe.com, or if you just go to deluxe.com, there's also a link under websites where you can go and click on the marketing suite. Again, free for a limited time, so nothing else, you can go in and play around for a little bit. All right, so again, DIY or DIFM based on your skill sets, resources, maintenance, and budget. So what happens if you say, I'm just going to have someone build my website for me? There's lots of places that do that. GoDaddy can do that. Ad agencies love to build out websites, so charge you an arm and a leg. You could also use your cousin's, coworker's, nephew's girlfriend, friend of a friend, neighbor down the street, one that did a semester of web design in college, whatever it may be. Everyone kind of knows someone that has the skill set to build some websites. And again, Deluxe, we also offer a do-it-for-me building website option for you. All right, so what's some of the pros? to upload, and what's the best bet for your type of business and your type of industry. Usually you get more customization options if you have someone build the website for you. They can be a little bit more flexible depending on what type of business you are. And it allows you to stand up from the crowd. If you're a plumber and all the plumbers in town have kind of this generic turnkey website that all looks the same except they changed out their logo on their website, you can do something a little bit different to make yourself stand out quite professional. The other thing is you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know if you should be using certain images or what the code should be on the back end. So rely on those experts because you're never going to know what you don't know. All right, what happens when things turn towards the con, right? So customers are always right? Well, maybe not. I mean, you're working with an expert that knows how to build a website. Maybe they don't want to hear, from you of what you think they should do because they've been doing this for a dozen years and they know how to build a website for you. Reputable professional. Are you getting someone that is going to, build you something, be on time, be on budget? Can you count on them to do that for you? Add-ons add up. A lot of times they may say, yep, I can build you a simple website. It'll be $1,000. Oh, you wanted the ability to collect contact information. That's another $500. Oh, you want me to connect your LinkedIn components to it or your LinkedIn account? That's another $500 that can add up pretty quick. Last one is, where's my control? And what I mean by that is what happens when the website's all done, it has been built. How do you maintain it? How do you gain control? What if you want to move it away from the hosting platform or the person that built your website? Do you still have that control when you moved on and want to try something else? So again, Deluxe does offer a DIFM or a website building option. We are actually rebranding this product, and in just a couple of weeks, it's going to be some great new options available with it. You can always go to deluxe.com/website. It's one of the top navs to talk with one of our marketing specialists. They'll walk you through what it takes for your particular business to build a website, what the cost would be. It's quite inexpensive as built websites go, right, versus going to an agency or having someone else that may want to charge you thousands of dollars. This is more on the hundreds of dollars to get a beautiful website at the end of the day. All right, so that tells you a little bit more about what you should do in determining how you're going to build a website or who's going to build it for you. The last thing I want to talk about is, all right, we've fixed the low-hanging fruit on our website, or we've decided we're going to build a website or redo our website, and we've have everything in place in terms of what we need to be doing, and you kind of have a plan in place, and the website gets built and good to go. All right, well, how do we actually get people to your website? How do you make sure that your website is being found? So again, we'll talk about a couple actionable items that you can do today, this week or this month to get your website up and going and making sure that people are actually getting to this website you spend so much time perfecting. All right, number one, mobile site is a must. Over 50% of all traffic to websites is now from a mobile device and or a tablet. Some businesses, retail and restaurants, may be 60, 70% of all their traffic. So you need to make sure that your website has a mobile version of it. You can see the two versions here between Domino's. And if it's just your normal website that someone's viewing from their mobile device, then it just doesn't look good, right? So they don't know where they should be going. They can't read the copy. What do you want them to do? Versus the one on the left where it's like, okay, you want to order food, you need to contact us, you need to track your current order. Makes it incredibly simple, nice big images, and it just gets them exactly where you need them to go right away. So make sure that your mobile site is included with your new website that you're building, or if you have a website already, make sure that it has a mobile version. And by that I mean actually responsive, right? Responsive just means that as different devices access the site, it then squeezes and fits and it meets that mold of whatever that device is. All right, number two, getting your business found, and this one's super easy, is claim your business listing on Google. It's a free service. responded to those reviews, or if people have a bad review, it's not the end of the world. I mean, people expect honesty. They expect to see kind of the full picture of what's going on with that business. But also don't be afraid to respond to it, right? If someone says, I went to this restaurant, food was cold and the waitress was horrible. Well, maybe you fly back and say, so our apologies, it was a very busy night. We have actually added some process in place to make sure that our food gets out piping hot. You'll see that most people love our restaurant and our consistently great food, right? So respond to those reviews. Don't be afraid of them. Because you're going to get negative reviews even if you're the best in the world. That's just the way the internet works, unfortunately. But meet it head on. Get your claim and update your listing. 3 is get listed in other online directories. So Google's the 80-pound gorilla in the room, right? 80% of traffic to your website may be generated from some sort of form of Google, whether it's your search function or maps or organic search or whatever it may be. But there's lots of other players out in the field as well, places like Yelp or Yahoo or Yellow Pages. I mean, all these directories are essentially Yellow Pages of the internet, so different places where people can find your information. You want to make sure that your information is consistent across all these places. So your phone number on Yahoo matches your phone number on Yellow Pages, that your address is the same across everyone, that your images are fairly similar. What happens, those are called citations. And when Google and other search engines are deciding who's the most relevant for a search, let's say someone puts in bikes, Google's going to go and say, okay, well, which websites out there are talking about bikes, and which one of them have lots of people talking about, lots of different sites talking about bikes, and it seems accurate and relevant. And that's called crawling. So if you've heard people talk about, Google or other search engines crawling your website, that's what that means, that they want to see that you're relevant to the search type, that you have lots of pertinent information, lots of great citations. And this all, of course, the crawling, and the delivering the results all happen in a matter of seconds. But you're going to want to make sure that you list on these other online directories as well. One thing you can do is start by getting your baseline, just see how you look across all the sites. Because if you look at all these, dozen different versions here, and there's hundreds of different options, you don't want to spend your time going and looking at all these individually. So we actually have a pretty nice little tool on Deluxe.com. If you go under search marketing and online directories, you can go in and get a report of what you look like on the search engine, on these different directories. So put in your name and your company information, address, and then what happens is it pulls up a list of how you're appearing in there. So on Yahoo, you have a phone number, but it's not showing up on Facebook, or the business name's a little bit different in Yahoo than it is in Bing. The address is slightly different in one, or you're not, including special offers or coupons. It just gives you a real quick snapshot, takes like 30 seconds, to show how your business is appearing on those sites. Again, you can find that under Deluxe and online directories, and then complete the scan, and it'll show you all the information. So it's a great baseline of where you should be doing it and what you need to be doing. The last thing I want to talk about, and then we'll have a couple minutes for questions as well, is just talking about overall digital marketing. So you've built your website, you've updated your website, you're now doing the low-hanging fruit to make sure people can get there by having a mobile site and by updating your Google listing and your regular directory listings. Well, now, what else can you do? What's the version 2.0 marketing that you can do? So everything from search marketing on search engines such as Google or Bing or Yahoo, and that is going to be just bidding on keywords that are pertinent to your business. So again, if you're a bike shop and someone searches for bikes in Minneapolis, you want to appear. So the ability to do that, great way to drive traffic and lower funnel traffic because people are already searching for a business like yours. Email marketing, and email marketing gets a little bit of a bad rap because it's one of the oldest versions of it. But email marketing still gets, on average, a 40-1 ROI. So you can spend $1 and get $40 out of it. That's still a great way to do it. It doesn't have to be just intrusive blast emails. It could be transactional emails, thanking people when they utilize your plumbing service. But then there's also an offer for 10% off their next service, or share our name with a family or friend and get a free email marketing is still a great, effective, low-cost way to market and drive traffic to your site. Blogging and content. This one takes a little bit more time and energy and thoughtfulness and preparedness, but being able to provide, answers and knowledge to your customers that they can, look for you as a subject matter expert, and then they'll come back and utilize your product when they're ready because they know you know what you're talking about. PR. So this doesn't have to be working with PR firm. This could be work with your local newspaper, and maybe they have a featured business of the week section where they like to go in and write up just a quick article about great local business in the area. That could be a great way to do some PR. Directory listings, which we just spoke about. And then social media. So what's your social media game plan? So do you have a Facebook page? How often are you going to post? What sort of information are you going to have on there? Do you have a Twitter or a LinkedIn account? All those things kind of wrap up into that. So again, just some additional tools you can look for after you get your website up and ready to go. Obviously, we've got to make sure we have a great site that's capitalizing on all the great traffic you're driving there. So here's how you can drive more traffic. So that's it. That's it for me. My name again was Brandon Schmitz with Lux Corporation. The big thing that I want you guys to know about websites in general, and regardless of if it's the Lux or whoever else, but do those low-hanging fruit things. Go in and just see. Right now is a great time to audit your website and see how things are going, and then determine, okay, once we get that fixed, how are we going to drive more traffic, more people to your site? So wouldn't it be fair of me to not include my information? So Lux.com. Again, we do logos, websites, search engine marketing, email marketing, all the different stuff to help you guys grow your business and maintain your business. Make sure you're doing what you need to do. So Kimber will send out the deck after this. You guys can all have that. You can certainly reach out to one of our marketing reps as well. You can find that on Lux.com as well if you have any questions. Otherwise, if there's any questions on the chat, Kimber, you can answer those, and if not, give everyone a little bit of time back.
Sure, let's look and see here. So I believe there are some already. So the first one that I have is from Jean Marie, and she wants to know if you can talk a little bit more about people scanning in the shape of an F on the websites.
Oh, sure. Yep. Yeah. So it's just kind of a natural tendency that when people read anything, and I think it's the same for newspapers or anything, just the natural human inclination is to kind of do an F shape where your eyes will scan down the left-hand side of something and then across the top vertically or horizontally and then across the middle horizontally. So you'll see this. So look at a billboard or your newspaper that gets delivered today, or a great website from some of the top people like Gap.com or different places. You'll notice that they set up and are acutely aware of that. But what I was showing was what's called a heat map, and there's actually ways that you can set this up on your site too. And you can see what are people clicking on your site, where are they scrolling the mouse. It has the dark and red colors, longer time spent on it. That's just a great way to see what people are doing. But just in general, kind of build up that F visibility and just think about it that way when you're building up the site.
Okay. And then we have a question from Nancy. She wanted to know, what do you recommend for LinkedIn company pages? She was saying that she found that the template is not very flexible.
And it's not. It depends on what kind of business you have, right? So if you're trying to drive, if you're a consulting firm or a B2B provider, then LinkedIn's a great way to go, but not as pertinent obviously for a B2C consumer-driven business. But I still think even for a B2B play, Facebook could be a great option for you. There's a lot more flexibility there in terms of what you share and how you set things up. But I do know on LinkedIn, if you pay a little bit more, they give you a little bit more options. But then again, you have to weigh whether or not it's important to pay that extra money to get the additional options.
Okay. And if you have any other questions, please go ahead and type them in the questions box below. I actually had a question. I wanted to know, I know for Do It For Me, it makes sense, but for the DIY platforms that you mentioned, do they also offer the mobile functionality?
Some do, but most don't. At least not out of the box. You generally will have to pay additional for that.
Okay.
But a lot of companies are moving more towards the way. Like I said, the traffic from people accessing your site from their desktop computer versus a mobile device or a tablet is increasing quite a bit. I mean, 5 years ago it was maybe 10, 20%, and now it's 50, 60%. I was at a company previously for a gym franchise system, and every year for about 5 years, I saw our mobile versus desktop traffic increase by about 10%. So it's 10% mobile versus 90% desktop. Next year is 20, 30, 40, 50. Um, and that was just every year like clockwork. So within the next couple of years, I think a vast majority of initial traffic will be mobile devices.
Okay. And then two questions that are actually kind of related from Karen and Tammy. They want to know, okay, how do you, once you scan your online directory, how do you actually make the corrections? And then also, too, can you just talk a little bit more about, how do you like view your page on Google? Like, how do you make it more visible?
Yep, yep. So I'll answer the first one with the scan. So, yep, you run the scan and it gives you the information. There's actually a link on there that you can click over to those providers, and a lot of times they'll allow you to reach out and say, oh, my address is actually this, or my phone number is actually this, like on Yelp or whatever it may be. The problem is that there's literally hundreds of places you can go and do that. So that um, scan, there's also a tool within there that you can click over to one of our partners, and they'll actually go in and make those updates for you, as well as allow you to add any sort of coupons or offers you want. So you can kind of take both routes. If you have more time than the money, then you can certainly go in and update them. Otherwise, it's fairly inexpensive to work with this third party that's um, part of that scan, and they'll help you go and update them as well, kind of one goes. The other one in terms of Google, so generally what I tell people the easiest way is honestly just Google your business. So, right, Brant's Fine Tailors of Minneapolis, they'll go in and do that Google search, and when it brings it up, you'll see a Google listings page that'll just say your business. And you can click on that, and generally it'll, especially if there's not a whole lot of information, it'll actually have up in the corner, it'll say, is this your business? You click yes, and there's a couple steps you have to take. Generally, what they do is they ask you to put in your business information that only you would know, and then old school, it's kind of funny, but then they end up sending you a postcard with a PIN to an address. You then have to call a number, give them that PIN, and then they'll give you access to that site. But once you do that, then you can update your information on Google. You can, put in different offers. You can respond to the reviews and everything else. So, great way to go in there and just audit it and gain control.
Okay, and then a final question from Henry. He wants to know, how do you determine which keywords you actually use on your site? And if you can give any examples of negative keywords that you would use.
Yeah. So one of the easiest things you can do, and Google's a great resource, right? I mean, they have a free Google Analytics tool which allows you to see how traffic's doing on your website. They have great keyword searching tools, so you can actually go into Google AdWords, which is the same platform if you're going to do like search marketing. But you can go in there and actually do, keyword auditing, if you will. So if I use my example again of being a bike shop, you can go in and say, yep, I'm a bike shop, and so I want to see keywords like, bike rental or something like that. And then Google will give you, 50 different versions of what that is, but then a volume of what people are actually searching for. So it'll say, yep, people search for bikes, but they also search for bicycles, and they also search for whatever. So then what I suggest is kind of just peppering those into your content. So if you're a bike shop and you want to do bike rentals because you're in a holiday area, then make your content conversational, but still pepper in some of those keywords. So, you know, at Jim's Bike Shop, we have bike rentals for all you're in the Raleigh area on vacation looking for a bike, reach out to Jim's Bike Shop, right? Kind of look at it this way is, if someone asked you, what is your business, what's a 30-second or 1-minute elevator pitch you would, use for them to explain what it is? And do that same type of thing on your website in terms of content. Oh, you're a CPA, what do you do? Well, I work with, mostly medium-sized hospitals to make sure that their auditing capability is up to speed based on the new HIPAA regulations, and I kind of act as their de facto CFO, like that, right? Use that same sort of kind of down-to-earth, same sort of content within your site.
Perfect. Okay, well, it's such great information that we got today. So before we let you go, just want to let you know about a few upcoming webinars in case you're interested to register for those. So on the 20th of this month, we have the Attract More Customers with the 4 C's model. So we'll be talking more about that particular marketing model and going over that and looking at how you can implement that into your plans. Then on January 26th, we have Subject Line Savvy. So if you are interested in learning more about, what's a good subject line, what's a not so good subject line for your emails, definitely sign up for that. Then a couple days after that, on the 28th, we have social media marketing for small businesses. So a lot of people like to know more about social and how they can incorporate that into their small business. So consider signing up for that one. And then on February 3rd, already looking at next month, we have creating a successful email. So if you are just getting started with email marketing or you're looking to enhance your email marketing, definitely consider signing up for that. You can find links to those webinar sign-up pages on deluxe.com and verticalresponse.com as well. Also to mention, as Brant said earlier, we will be sending out a recorded version of this webinar, so you'll be able to look at it again, share it with someone else that could also use it. And just to let you know, that email will be coming from Deluxe. So when you see that in your inbox, particularly people that are familiar with getting emails after a webinar from Vertical Response, it will be coming from Deluxe. So definitely look out for that very soon. With that being said, thank you so much for attending today. Brant, thank you again for a wonderful presentation, and we look forward to seeing you on another webinar. Thanks, everyone.